Good afternoon, and welcome to San Antonio. We're so glad you're here. I'm happy to participate this afternoon. When Richard asked me to do this late last week, I said, okay, who wasn't able to do that? And so Henry Cisneros. And I said, well, certainly I am not a stand-in for Henry and could not live up to his speaking abilities. But I will do my best to share with you a little bit about what we're doing in San Antonio to make this an even greater city, and specifically what we're working on in terms of downtown redevelopment. In addition to what the mayor said, and thank you for that kind introduction, because it even did shorter. But I am a mother to great kids and wife, and I live downtown. So Mike and I chose to walk the talk, and I have in all three of the cities where I've worked as a city manager, have worked on downtown redevelopment. So it's something that's very near and dear to my heart, because we all know that great cities have great downtowns. If you think about the great cities in the country as well as in the world, they have great central cities. So we know that to be great, we'll have to continue to work at our redevelopment of downtown. So when we were recruited here, Richard was a major reason why I am here in San Antonio. He was persistent, I guess I will say that. And so we are here going on 7 years. We live downtown on the Riverwalk in a redevelopment project downtown. So I'm about 2 blocks from City Hall. Very close. Some days I think it might be a little bit too close, but it's been a great ride, and I hope you'll have a chance to meet Mayor Castro. He is doing a great job in leading the Brain Power Initiative that the mayor and also Richard Pettis talked about this morning, the 1/8 cent. So a great push on education, which is not directly under our area of responsibility, but something that's very important to the further economic development of the community, as you all know, as chamber leaders and business owners, making sure that the workforce is there. So just a couple of things, big picture about the city that we've worked on most recently to put in context what's going on, and then I'll talk very specifically about downtown and some of the redevelopment projects, this being one of them, Pearl Stable, and the redevelopment that is happening here, both commercial and retail, as well as the housing that is under construction. It's also the northern part of the reach of our river today, and we'll be embarking on some barges and taking a riverboat tour through the locks to downtown. Lori Houston, our Assistant Director of our Center City Development Office. When I was recruited to San Antonio 7 years ago, I was asked to come in and make some drastic changes within the city government organization. In a council management form of government, the city manager runs the business of the city operations. So I'm the only employee that's appointed by the mayor and council, and I hire and fire all the staff, the police chief, fire chief, public works director, library directors, all of the department heads of the city organization. So we worked over the past 7 years quite methodically to focus in on the talent within the organization, our financial management, as well as our capital improvements for the city. On the financial side, we've worked to increase our financial reserves. Standard & Poor's upgraded us to a AAA for the first time in the city's history in October of 2008, and Fitch and Moody's upgraded us the subsequent year to AAA as well. So our general obligation bond rating is a AAA. Of the 10 largest cities in the country, we're the only one of the 10 to have a triple, to use a basketball analogy or a modified one. So 3 AAA ratings, general obligation bond ratings by all 3 of the major rating services. And we're going through a rating again later this month, so my job is to make sure we keep that. Low interest rates were important to us on that third priority, capital improvements. In my first year, the council asked that we develop the largest bond program that we felt we could handle. We did that considering first the financial side of it, secondly, ability to execute, and third, local citizen participation in the development of the program. It's a $550 million program, 4 times larger than anything the city had undertaken in the past. We were able to do that without raising our property tax rate. We did that within the growth of our assessed valuation, new growth in the community. And we made a commitment to the community that we would execute and complete those projects, substantially complete them within the 5-year period. Happy to report that 98% of those projects are either completed or under construction from what was approved in 2007. And this past May, just a few weeks ago, we took to the voters another bond program totaling almost $600 million that was also overwhelmingly approved by the voters. No tax increase with that program as well. So more than $1 billion of capital improvements, focusing primarily in the areas of streets and drainage, parks, and some of our museums, as well as our infrastructure, vertical infrastructure, libraries, fire station, and city facilities. So most of that, though, going into horizontal work, the streets and drainage in the community. We're 450 square miles nearly in size geographically, so we're a very large community maintaining more than 4,000 miles of streets. So even with big bond programs, there's a lot of work to do out there in terms of maintaining the city's infrastructure, but we're at it, and we're working hard at it. And the voters this past May, even in this environment, did approve all 5 of the propositions by more than 60% in each of the categories. So we're pleased to be able to keep working on that. One of the major parts and focuses of our capital improvement program includes the downtown area. And I think we know that people want to shop, work, visit, play, entertain within the central city. They also want it to be attractive and safe with good infrastructure. And great cities offer a variety of activities within the downtown as well, and great public spaces. So we think that downtown San Antonio has much of that, and there's still work to do. So it's a work in progress. We believe there's no status quo. You have to keep working at it. We have now, just for a few more stats to set the context for what I'll talk about in terms of our strategy. There are 69,000 employees and approximately 18,000 residents downtown San Antonio and the surrounding neighborhoods. We have about 7,000 surrounding neighborhood housing units. Downtown has about 30 cultural institutions, and soon will be home to the new 1,700-seat Tobin Center for the Performing Arts. That's funded through a county venue tax, with the city participating as a partner, providing the land for that facility. So that's under construction today and will be open in 2014. It's about a $150 million project. We're a multimodal with regular and express bus routes and a network of over 40 miles of bike lanes just within the downtown area. We are recreational and have a 16.2-mile running trail along the San Antonio River and over 30 national, state, and local parks in the inner city area, 8 major parks just within the downtown area. And as you know, we're a major tourist destination too. 25 million visitors to San Antonio annually, 13,500 hotel rooms. So just in the downtown area, and we host more than 550 conferences annually. A great destination for those 2/3 of you who've been here before. Have probably attended a meeting or two here in our downtown area. It's quite convenient because most of those hotel rooms are located along the river, so it makes it pleasant and also a very nice destination for marketing the community. We have a vibrant and downtown that's home to 32 annual celebrations of different sorts, but the most notable, of course, being Fiesta and Luminaria. Fiesta, as you may know, is a 10-day-long event that celebrates our diverse history and culture of San Antonio. It's in April of each year. We have about 3.5 million people that attend. It's truly a Texas-sized festival for our community. Luminaria is just 5 years old, but something that we do annually to celebrate the art and artists within the community. We had about 300,000 people attend Luminaria this year, and that was also in May. So we have, of course, a downtown that has a huge economic impact for the entire community. Our focus over the past several years is how to achieve balance and also to further redevelop our downtown area. We're a great tourist destination, but many of those who live in the community think of downtown as a place for tourists. They may come downtown when they have someone visiting from out of town, or they too are participating in a conference, but may not view downtown as a destination where they would regularly go. So trying to achieve balance and making downtown more viable for those who want to live downtown, following the trends nationally and within the state in major cities, what could we do? And we started on this process several years ago, first of course doing a strengths analysis, what is good about the downtown, what else can we do. We worked with a panel from the International Downtown Association to also assess our strengths and weaknesses within our downtown area. And out of all of that work, over 2 to 3 years ago, we developed a plan to create a central partnership, which is a public-private partnership of the city and business leaders within the community to provide policy direction about our future development opportunities for downtown San Antonio. The City Council approved our recommendation to create Central Partnership in 2010, and that was also about the same time that Mayor Castro launched an SA 2020 effort, which was a community-wide planning effort to identify what we wanted the city to look like in the year 2020. The result of that planning effort that included hundreds and hundreds of people in meetings like this, roundtable discussions, on a variety of topical areas, resulted in the identification of 11 vision areas for the community, one of which included downtown San Antonio and its further redevelopment. So it was perfect timing, coming together the creation of Central Partnership, as well as identifying downtown and its redevelopment as a major feature for what needed to be done for San Antonio. So we worked on the development of a strategic framework plan. What are the kinds of things that need to be done? And the result of that included a housing first strategy. That is to achieve the creation and addition of more jobs, more headquarter locations, corporate locations within the downtown area. We needed places for people to live closer to the central city. And so that housing first strategy is about our public participation in supporting those private development projects with infrastructure needed to make those projects successful. And you can see here at the Pearl project directly some of what's under construction along what's called the Broadway corridor from this location along Broadway, a major street leading to the downtown area, and it also follows the river. And we have today under construction more than 1,500 housing units. Our SA 2020 plan identified a goal of creating another 5,000 housing units within the downtown area by the year 2020. As we worked on our strategic framework plan, we decided that that wasn't ambitious enough and that we should raise that goal to 7,500 housing units. And so that is our goal, the creation and construction of an additional 75 housing units within the downtown area. It's not about housing alone. It is a housing first strategy. We're still working at bringing more business to the downtown area, working on corporate relocations to downtown San Antonio. But we also find that, of course, places of employment want to be located in large part near where their employees live. And if many of the employees want to live in the northern areas or choose to live in school districts where they want their children to attend school, it makes it a challenge, a special challenge for the center city area. So you can see that what we're talking about in terms of downtown strategy is having housing choices. My husband and I are empty nesters, so it makes it a little bit easier for us to make that decision to be in the central city. And for many people who live in the central city, candidly, they choose, if they can afford it, to have their children in private schools. So schools are a challenge, and the education initiative being led by Mayor Castro is indicative of the needs for improvement of educational attainment within the community, and specifically within the central city of the community. But also making sure that there are housing options for employees of all ages and status of their careers, so that they too could live in the central city. It helps us address some of the huge transportation issues that we have as well, the congested areas to the north, the commutes to a variety of areas within the community, but having those choices. And of course, we see the trends where young people in their 20s and 30s want to live in a more urban environment. And so making sure that we have those options available for those in the community is hugely important to us. We have numerous projects that are under construction, as I mentioned, and we are leveraging more than $250 million of private investment, and we're doing that on about a 1 to 12 basis. That is, for every $12 of private financing, the city has contributed either through public infrastructure, fee waivers on some of the utility connections, in some cases some low interest or no interest loans to those projects, about $1 for every $12 of private investment. And each of these deals has been different. That is, we actually take a look at the pro formas of those who are proposing the development projects. We negotiate with them based on the need for that project, and are looking at a variety of ways that we can even participate and support this private investment to a further degree to keep and to meet the goal that we have for 7,500 units within the downtown area. We've also worked in a public infrastructure way to extend the river, and Lori's going to talk about that after lunch today, the extension of the river itself. The river today, as you probably recall it or know it in the downtown area, is about 3 miles in length. The horseshoe and what was built back in the 1930s. The Mission or Museum Reach, which is, we're at the northern end of that today, although there are plans to extend it a little bit further north through Brackenridge Park, was a 4-mile project that we have completed over the past few years since I've been with the City of San Antonio. It's 4-mile extension to the north through the museum areas, the San Antonio Museum of Art, for example, along the river. And it used to be basically a ditch, and businesses had turned their backs on the river. It was a place where homeless and others hung out, and now you'll see today it's a beautiful restoration of this waterway and has become an amenity, and we're seeing more and more development occur adjacent to this public investment of about $72 million, primarily funded by the city. The Mission Reach of the river is to the south, connecting from the Alamo to Mission Espada, all 5 of the missions. In San Antonio, that's another 8 miles of extension of the river. And when we are completed, we'll have more than 15 miles of contiguous river reach from north to south within the city, connecting right through the heart of downtown, so providing that recreational and further development opportunity for the city. The southern reach of the river is primarily financed through a county venue tax, and that project is under construction and will be completed within the next 3 years. So a huge, huge part of the community, what was a negative turned into a positive in connecting and extending the river beyond its downtown area today. I mentioned the bond program that was just approved last month, the $600 million, and in this proposal we included about $84 million specifically for infrastructure within the downtown area. Let me mention a little bit, I'm not sure if you'll have on the panel tomorrow anyone talk about Hemisphere Park, but Hemisphere was the site of the 1968 World's Fair, and it is a combination of historic buildings and our convention center adjacent to it, a huge asset to the community, but has basically stayed in its same state since the 1968 World's Fair. It's where the Tower of the Americas is located. And so from that location, we began a master planning process a couple of years ago, and our intent is to develop mixed-use development there, commercial, retail, as well as housing development at Hemisphere Park. And this bond program includes $30 million for streets as well as parks development for the first phase of Hemisphere Park. And that will be constructed over the next 5 years. The balance of the funding within our bond program that was just approved is for other street improvements within the downtown area. We undertook over the past 6 months a study about our downtown transportation system and took a look at complete streets. How do we incorporate greater pedestrian amenities, improve the infrastructure for pedestrians as well as moving vehicular traffic within the downtown area, and also improving bike lanes and those other intersections that make it easier for people to walk within the downtown area, including connectivity from the street level to the river level. So somewhat we have two cities, two levels of activity within San Antonio, the river level, as well as what's happening at the street level, and providing better connectivity between the two is part of the bond program as well. So of the $600 million, about $84 million just for the downtown area. We also have within the bond program improvements to our central library and funding for 2 of our museums. First, a children's museum project, $4 million toward the children's museum that will be located on the Broadway corridor, and also our central library, additional improvements there, and the Whitty Museum, which is also located on Broadway as part of the cultural corridor leading to the downtown area. Related to Hemisphere Park, of course, our convention center is located there. We just presented to the City Council last week a plan to expand the convention center to keep it current and modern. So it is a $300 million project that we've proposed that we are able to finance through our hotel occupancy tax. We're not proposing any increase in that to be able to accommodate and service the debt for that expansion. It will allow us to expand the convention center to the east, do some street relocation, and then in the end take down the 50-year-old portion of the convention center, freeing up that space to also allow for the expansion of Hemisphere Park because they are contiguous to one another. So that's another major project that we have planned for the future. Then lastly, the other thing that we're working on for the downtown area includes streetcar system. So we have our VIA, our Metropolitan Transit System has proposed a streetcar system that also follows this Broadway corridor to the downtown and has an east-west component as well to move traffic and people within the downtown area. It has been controversial, I will share that with you, but we do have funding in place, both the city, the county, and our transit system to be able to do the streetcar system and actually undertake that capital construction to further the transportation options for the downtown. So we have a lot going on within the downtown area. The Housing First policy, capital infrastructure, the river extension, museums that are under construction, a new performing arts center, and strong leadership at the elected level as well as from our own business community. And I want to thank Richard Pettis for the Chamber's support of all of these projects and helping us as we have a lot of discussion within the community as to how they will be funded, how we will go about undertaking them, and in our approach. Just to summarize again how we go about our Housing First strategy and the kinds of incentives that we look at as we talk with our private developers. City fee waivers on our utilities, tax abatements where we can provide tax abatements for the property taxes on these projects for a period of time. We do some tax rebate or reimbursements to them. whether it's through the property tax or the sales tax as a result of the property improvements. We have done some tax increment financing and have an inner-city TERS that develops and provides some revenues to allow us to put those dollars into capital improvements as well. So we use these tools to work with the private developers on housing improvements for the community, and specifically for the downtown area. And as I said, we have a number of major projects underway within the downtown area. It's an exciting time to be in San Antonio. It's a city manager's dream to be able to work on this many projects. Let me just say that because I'm responsible for the execution of the policy, that is, how do we get all of these things done, it's important to have the support not only of our elected officials, but of the business community. And I would encourage you to be very engaged in that conversation. That is, what it is as you set your priorities, but also how you're going to get it done and to ensure that the projects are achievable. When the council asked me as the new city manager to develop the largest bond program I thought we could undertake, I looked at it from the financial standpoint. I knew that I wasn't going to recommend a tax increase as the new city manager. In fact, I have not recommended any tax increases while I've been city manager. In fact, we lowered the city property tax rate 3 times in the last 6 budgets. But we also have had tremendous growth within our community as one of the fastest growing metropolitan areas in the country. So we've been able to support it and be responsible stewards of the finances of the city. But it's also important to have the right organizational structure and the correct team in place to be able to execute on these projects. It's one thing to have a big program, but if you can't get the work done, it really doesn't matter how big your project or your program is. And so we completely reorganized the way and the manner in which we deliver capital projects to be as effective as possible. And we sat down with the private sector and said, to those who were not doing work with the city, what would it take for you to do work with the city, and how should we do things differently? We completely revamped our contract documents, the manner in which the business process that we went about selecting architects and contractors to do work with the city, and on the execution of those projects. And we've done it with quite a bit of success because we've been able to complete almost nearly all of those capital improvement projects that were identified. And for me, the proof is in performance. If we do well, if we do a great job, then the community will support doing more work out there that's so needed throughout the city. So our focus in this bond program does include a huge focus within the downtown area. Many capital projects, a lot to coordinate. It will be cumbersome. It will be difficult to operate within the downtown while all of this is under construction, but worthy of going forward with these very major projects that will improve the downtown. Because in the end, we want the downtown to be not just for tourists, for visitors, the 25 million plus that come to San Antonio annually and spend a lot of money, which is a good thing. At the same time, we also want to make sure that we are using downtown and that it is a destination for those who live here. As someone who lives downtown, I'll often have people who are here for a conference. I can always tell because they're wearing their badges like you are today. And they'll be looking for directions and when I help them, they'll say, are there any regular people? You know, people who live downtown? We see lots of people with badges, but do those who live here come downtown and attend downtown? And so we want to make sure that it is for those who live here, that it's everyone's neighborhood, not just for those who are visiting the community. As much as we love to have people here, that there is a mix. And we know that people want to travel to cities where there is diversity of those who are there, options for entertainment, for things to see, and also for business opportunities. And we work on our tourism to try to capture that as well, to make sure that we're working with those business opportunities too. So a lot of work, a lot of emphasis, and we began it by strategizing, by brainstorming what needed to be done, by developing a plan, and then executing on that plan. That is the strategic framework plan for downtown. and are going forward with our Housing First strategy to make sure that we have people living downtown then that can work at those jobs that we're trying to recruit to San Antonio and to specifically the Center City. Lastly, let me just say that we do have an incentive program for economic development that includes the entire city, but our incentives are weighted to the central city. So while we will help and we welcome all business to the community, we do more if companies are locating within the downtown area, and that's also part of our adopted strategy. I know you have lots on your agenda. I hope that some of this information is helpful to you as you spend time within the downtown area, learn more about the river and other projects, and I invite you to ask a lot of questions, and we can provide information through Richard to all of you. Again, we welcome you to San Antonio and hope you have a great couple of days here. And go Spurs!